More Hefe, peace, Osemere. Good morning to you. We want to believe that you had a great time with Vicky Vic on
That's right.
sports on Eagles Wings, but it's time for us to talk politics and current affairs. And we might not really be all political on the show today, but let's focus a little bit on Nigeria's economy. Right?
Exactly. Focusing on Nigeria's economy, of course. Let's have you know that we do have a public debt, and it has hit 144.67 trillion naira. That's right. So Nigeria's public debt rises to 144.67 trillion naira. Well, you and I know that Nigeria's public debt has skyrocketed. I mean, we already told you already, and its equivalent in dollars would be 94.23 billion US dollars as of December 31 of 2024, and that is representing a 48.58% increase from 97.34 trillion naira, which is approximately 108.23 billion US dollars as of December of 2023. Now, the surge is largely attributed to new foreign loans and the naira's depreciation, which has inflated the naira equivalent of dollar denominated debts. Now, what is this saying coming from the DMO? The Debt Management Office reported a 1.65% rise from the 142.32 trillion naira, which is 88.89 billion US dollars in equivalence, recorded as of September 30 of 2024.
Right.
And that was reflecting a steady climb in the last year quarter. But this quarter, it does seem as though we are skyrocketing, we are hitting an all-time high, and we are not soft pedaling anytime soon.
Absolutely. The Debt Management Office, that's the DMO, and citizens, they are indeed concerned about this progression of events, and they are also emphasizing the need for prudent debt management practices, and also would like to look at the implications of this growing debt burden on Nigeria's economy. We know, of course, that last week, SERAP was actually in the news for maybe the good reason, if
That's
you would
right.
like to put it that way,
Yeah.
where they actually prevailed on the government to reject the fresh loans, from the World Bank, if I'm not mistaken. Now, let's share a personal story with you. A Nigerian citizen who simply put her name as Mrs. Okoro has been struggling to make ends meet due to the rising cost of living, and she is worried about the impact of the increasing public debt on her family's well-being and the country's economic future. Now, no doubt, the first quarter of this year, 2025, we're made to understand that there has been respite for the economy, and gains have been made or recorded, and the economy is on the right path. Even though the vice president, along with the minister of finance and the economy, of course, they've come out over time to say that the policies of the President Tinubu-led administration, they're already yielding results, right?
Right.
So it's left for Nigerians really to maybe get up to speed with these results and stop, distancing themselves from the reported results that the policies are already, bringing about for Nigeria
Right.
and the economy. Okay, there are different, concerns really that comes to mind as socio-political and social construct concerns from the place of fiscal discipline. How can the government ensure prudent management of public funds? You also talk about diversifying the economy. I think this is one conversation that has been on the front burner for God knows how long. This can be traced back to previous administrations where economists have stressed the need for us to diversify the economy instead of us to rely heavily or solely
That's
on
right.
oil. But we're gradually shifting from, oil to depend on other, a source of, revenue internally, if you would like to put it that way.
That's right.
You talk about, exporting, goods made in Nigerian goods, out of the country is another way of us diversifying the economy, beyond oil. But have really made significant gains in that regard. Another thing would be debt transparency.
Okay.
How transparent has the process been? You're talking about, the management of these debts that we get from different facilities with the World Bank, the IMF, countries and what have you. Has the process been really transparent? And has corruption really brought about more pains than gains in terms of, the dividend? Because whether we like it or not, the debt in trillions, in billions or millions, we should be able to enjoy some dividends from these debts, because at the end of the day, there's still, taxpayers' monies, revenue generated internally that will be used to, pay back these loans. Or we just keep our fingers crossed and wait, for the right time where we'll get to seek, debt pardon, from those involved. And then economic inequality. What impact will the growing debt burden have on economic inequality in Nigeria? Quite frankly, a number of Nigerians have, the past week, they've actually shared their 2 cents with regards to the unending foreign trips embarked upon or on by the president, the vice president, and our politicers, basically.
Right.
And,
Well, that's quite a lot that you've put out there, Omar. And trust me, is a discourse that is still unending. But then let's take a look at what the DMO, has said. They've emphasized the need for prudent debt management practices. While citizens are concerned about the implications of the growing debt burden on the country's economy. So the Nigerian government has been working to address the issue, but the debt crisis continues to raise concerns about the country's economic stability. Right? So this entire discourse is evolving around Nigeria's public debt, which has reached a whopping 144.67 trillion naira as of December 31, 2024, and the debt surge is attributed to new foreign loans and the naira's depreciation. Now, let's make sense of what we just put out there. New foreign loans, and it didn't stop there. It didn't stop at just the new foreign loans. It concerns naira's depreciation. So these are the two hinges upon which we are experiencing the surge. Right now, the DMO is reporting a 1.65% rise in the debt burden, and citizens are concerned about the implications on the country's economy. Right? Now, they have also gone on to emphasize the need for prudent debt management practices while citizens are concerned about the impact, right?
And also the transparency.
Exactly. Now, what comes to mind will now be, how do we indeed reduce the continuum of borrowings and loans that we are collecting? Now, mind you, Omar Ife, these are not grants. These are loans. That means that you and I will be bearing the joint burden of paying back these loans.
And
that's
this
one.
would also be hinged on the exchange rate.
That's right.
Due.
That's right. And of course, what does the implication entail? It means that you and I will be taxed some more. It means that government will be all out to seeing that it's accrues certain monies, derives certain monies, go through the legitimacy of the procedures to ensuring that certain monies are taken from you and I to pay the loans. Now, what pains a couple of Nigerians will be the fact that, look, if we are even paying back the loans, it would be nice. But it goes into debt servicing. Most of the time, it's not like we're paying the loans. We're only servicing the loans with the debt, right? The interest that is on top of it is what we are servicing. We've not been able to really pay loans. And then when you think about it again, with the incessant lavish lifestyle that certain peoples of high class in the country are leaving.
Now, what are these people?
I mean, you talk about some government officials, some governors,
Okay.
right? These are the people, right? And there's been an outcry for the outlandish tours in foreign trips that the president has been going on.
No, but we understand that the trips are really, important or necessary. It's just a way of wooing investors, to come invest in Nigeria.
Oh,
but
some
again,
good talk.
Another question that comes
Yes.
to mind, especially
Ask it, because
in recent times,
Yes.
would be where are the investors?
Where are the investors on my
Right.
faith? Because I was just gonna ask you. I mean, when the government says, "Oh, we're trying to whoop, FDIs and all of that," I'm thinking to myself, please, with all of the wooings. I mean, we had Buhari traveling across, countries, wooing FDIs, getting investors to come and invest, and yet Ajaokuta is still under lockdown, right? Well, good thing the president, this administration has been able to put together some of the refineries. I mean, Kaduna, Port Harcourt, Warri refinery has come aboard, but there's still the textile industry that is seemingly moribund. There are still other industries in this country that would have given us a means of employment for citizenry, job creation. It would have also improved our livelihoods. It would have also brought to book these 20 state governors who are refusing to even update the 70,000 naira minimum wage, which was agreed and signed duly into law. Oh, Lord. Yeah, signed duly into law. And yet we have ailing states that are failing to pay that. All of that would have been a story of the past. And then maybe we would have been able to begin to concentrate on indeed clearing our debts and not looking for a handout or looking for grants here and there. But 144 trillion naira? Now that's a lot, and that's concerning. It calls for a lot of concern. And then somebody would want to ask me, UD, what's the way forward? What are the recommendations for this?
Before we talk about the way forward, I think we've been heavy on the loans, right? And we also need to focus on the currency market. We need to know what's going on, right there at the currency market. Why has the Naira, continued in this, projection, the free fall, despite, measures that have been put in place by the Central Bank of Nigeria? Before we delve into that, we understand that the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, called on the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to reject the newly approved $1.08 billion loan from the World Bank, citing concerns over Nigeria's rising debt profile and financial mismanagement within federal institutions. And this was actually posted on X, right, formerly Twitter, on Sunday. The prominent civil society organization said, and I quote, "We have urged President Tinubu to reject the recently approved $1.08 billion World Bank loan for Nigeria and instead recover the missing 233 billion naira from the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading PLC. That's the NBET and other MDAs. The loan is neither necessary nor in the public interest." So if we have a situation whereby monies cannot be accounted for, so there is a deficit somewhere, and in a bid to maybe bridge that gap and maybe bring about more infrastructure development, we need to get more loans. Taking loans or borrowing, it has never been a bad idea, as we've been made to understand by economists, but have these monies been judiciously utilized? How transparent has the process been? Now, I'd like us to take a look at what's going on, across, the currency or currencies market, right? So we can really get sense of, what is going on, especially with the Naira. In recent times, there's been this advocacy and the need for us to patronize made in Nigeria. That way, we're able to grow the Naira because it is our, local currency, whether we like it or not. So as at April 5, which was that was on Friday, if I'm not mistaken, the official exchange rate crashed to 1,600 naira per dollar at the end of trading on April 4.
1,600.
Yes, this is as Trump-era tariffs continued to rattle global markets, and data from the CBN shows the naira closed at 1,600 naira per dollar, marking a 1.9% depreciation compared to the 1,569 naira per dollar recorded the previous day. And this is also the weakest level the naira has reached since December 4 of 2024, when it closed at 1,608 naira per dollar. The exchange rate has now weakened by 3.9% in the first 4 days of April, after closing March at 1,537 naira per dollar. Now, what this data is saying is the intraday highs and lows were reported at 1,625 naira and 1,519 naira to the dollar. And in contrast, the intraday low of 1,519 naira per dollar indicates that some traders will, they still priced the naira stronger, possibly betting on short-term interventions. Now, we've seen the central bank maybe too much in a hurry now, expressing excitement or gratitude when we make some gains, even though some analysts would tag those gains insignificant.
Exactly.
Oh, but of course, gains, are gains.
Well, gains are
all right?
gains.
But have we been able to sustain the tempo as at when we made those gains? Or we just get all excited and we publish, the gains that we've made in the currency market, and then we just throw in the towel, and before you see it. So the fluctuation continues really with the naira. And some are saying that ever since the CBN decided to float the naira, it brought more pains than gains for the naira. Can there really be an end? Is there an end in sight to the woes bedeviling the nation's currency, legal tender at this point in time?
I would just add my voice there. I mean, quite a number of analysts to economists in their respective light have also come out to saying that, look, the answers are right there in front of us. They've expressed bewilderment as to how and why the CBN and the financial, money management agencies in the country are not seeing this solutions. And they've also opined that time and time again they've come out on radio shows, television broadcasts to give advice to the CBN, and it's not really taken hook, line and sinker. In fact, they've come out to also telling the CBN and the financial agencies of the country or within the country to saying, whatever we have said, fact check it, use a litmus test on it, and see if the result is not going to be the exact same thing that we have mentioned earlier. But then it doesn't seem as though it's falling on ears that are willing, rather it falls on deaf ears. And then it brings us to a conclusion of, does it mean that the CBN and all the financial agencies are only managing the situation even when they know what the answers might be? Could there be a larger plan, a larger spectrum as to why we are having, the free fall of the naira in the way that it is? I mean, if you got the report from what Omoife said, this is a 3.9% drop or weakening for the naira since December of 2024. And just 4 days only into April, this is what we are facing. Some very critical political and financial observers have said that, look, if in the first day we're experiencing this, it means that April might just be indeed the April Fool that is legendary seen, to be.
I actually think that things are even more complicated right now, looking at the U.S., tariff. And let's also take, into cognizance the fact that this is not targeted at Nigeria alone. It's actually a global trend at the moment. So what does that really portend for the naira? Now, the global trade war is threatening the stability of the naira following the depreciation of the currency at the close of last week. On Friday, as we've been made to understand by the Daily Trust, a newspaper, the naira depreciated at the official market, all right? And this actually happened the day after President Donald Trump's sweeping tariff imposition. So I just want us to get sense of the angles where this debt profile is coming from, the surge in our debt profile is coming from. It's not just about the loans now, but also because of the depreciation of the naira.
Of course.
So
as well as some of the Trump administration sweeping
policies,
policy.
right? And
Right.
from the body language of the U.S. President Donald Trump, it doesn't look like he's going to rescind any of his decisions anytime soon. I mean, we've seen anti-Trump protests,
Yes.
right?
Well,
But-
Nigeria has taken, the U.S. To, is I think the World Bank and some other agencies, is it the UN now, reports in the U.S. But from what you said, it doesn't seem like Trump is backing down anytime soon. And I saw some sort of editorial that says this now is the time for Nigeria to also hit big. I mean, let's see through the cracks. Let's see through the cracks that we are facing right now and make the most of it. Do you understand?
Absolutely.
Make the most of it, because for every crack there is always an opportunity that might just come through. But then, Omoife, does it bother you some story that some conversation that we had just before we came on the show? I was talking to you about a certain Meshago, right, who was telling me that he has a house with 50 rooms back there in Borno State,
Right.
in Maiduguri, right there, So he had also said that, look, and I got to ask him, I said, hey, how do you survive? How do you, keep things in check? How do you make it work? One of the things that he said to me is, we engage in farming. And then the part that I left out in the conversation, because of course there's a lot, to talk about, was that he says there was a house, a certain land that they had already had acquired, a very vast land where they did their farming and all of that. They even built, another house. His son, built a house. He was thriving well and all of that. That as a result of Boko Haram, they confiscated it, they took over it, and now they themselves have decided that, okay, you know what, we will not even go to that part
Right.
anymore because it's no longer ours. So they forfeited it, to the Boko Haram insurgency. But one thing he said to me that is very, very relevant to this discourse was the fact that our currency, as against the Cameroonian currency, was even weak. Naira against Cameroon, we're not talking dollars now,
right.
is weak. Maybe when we start to open our eyes, to some of these truths, maybe then we will have a better understanding. From what he said, allegedly, that the CFA, right, was stronger than even the Naira. So he preferred to trade using the CFA as against the Naira. He said to me, small money in CFA, many things you buy. So it goes on to telling us that some African countries have gotten it right, or are getting it right, or are on the pathway to getting it right.
Right.
What is wrong with us? Why are we still duck-tailing at our level and still feeling at peace and at ease with ourselves? Is this to mean because we have access to always collect loans? Could this to also mean, could this mean that, we have resources, there's oil, we will always pay back, whether
Well,
in
oil
cash
is not
or
the
in
resource
cash?
or resources that
kind.
we have. Nigeria, for example, we've got a population, we've got the resources. Is it anything Cameroon can actually come by or go by?
But Cameroon is doing well, better than us with the big resources.
Maybe the currency has a little bit of value there, but that's not to say that in other aspects
Yeah.
they are doing better off than Nigeria.
Okay, fine. Now tell me what a country would be if the economy or if the legal tender in itself is depreciated to the point zero. Even with all of the other aspects, I don't care about it. All I care about is my purchase power. If I can hold your currency and I have a purchase power that is higher or gives me leverage or gives me, puts me higher when I go to other countries and all of that, I think I'm all up for you. Now, the USA, in this same retrospect, who says they don't have other challenges? They do have challenges.
Absolutely.
But the dollar is a dollar. Hold the dollar, go anywhere on most parts of the world. The dollar is a dollar.
It's a global currency.
That's the point.
Okay, now, dear listener, we'd like you to indulge us as we, look at the issues, right? We've been able to spread the issues, we've been able to place the cards on the table. Now, let's hear from you, really. How much of a concern is it to you that the debt profile, keeps surging, all right, despite measures and efforts by the federal government, really, to ensure that the whole debts or the debts are properly utilized? Maybe a lot more needs to be done, yes.
And then the debt is properly managed, just like we got from the DMO,
Right.
Debt Management Office. Well, do well to call us via the numbers. The studio numbers are open for you now. 0907 353 0044 or 0908 766 8888, and the WhatsApp portal number is as well open for you too, 0909 705 4450. Now, these are the numbers that you can connect with us via, and of course, we will take your calls ASAP. Taking this one now. Hello.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning,
And,
Turkinby.
good morning, our big brother.
Good morning to you,
Daniel.
Turkinby Hundu.
Yes, very special this morning.
Thank you.
Hindu taking all the way from Nassau State. Yes, I want to begin by saying that, it's unfortunate that we have found ourselves, in this place, where we are today. Nothing is working, in this country. If you look at the issue of debt, I think it all began under President Muhammadu Buhari. You see him go and borrow a lot of money from China, and other places. And you will discover that the money they're borrowing is not even the issue. The way they're using it. These people were now convinced they can borrow any amount of money and they won't use 30% of that money. The rest of that money will go into private pocket. So that is the source of concern, Daniel. Borrowing money and putting it into projects, viable project that will bring back that money shouldn't be an issue. But where the issue is that when they borrow this money, they will lose this money. So that's the problem. And we went to church yesterday, and the pastor was saying, pray for Nigeria. What do you want God to do for Nigeria again? God has given us everything that we want. Do you want God to come and jail politicians who are corrupt? Do you want God to come and hold the president and the vice president who will, at least one of them will not be in the country? Do you want God to come and fight the headsmen when the federal government has all it takes, when we have the army and the police, and our people are dying every day? What do you want God to do? God has given us everything. So prayer will not take us where we are. So let those politicians who don't want to do the right thing, you borrow money and you lose those monies, we should have the authority that will jail those people. Thank you very much.
Turkinby Hundu, thank you so much.
Turkinby right there.
And for the clergyman who was
you.
asked you to pray for Nigeria, he has a point. If you ask me, prayer is the key, they say. So we must keep praying.
Well, I agree with
Do
you on
not
my
relent.
faith. I agree. Pray without ceasing, they said. But Turkinby is making a point. What are we praying for anymore? I mean, we prayed for everything, and God has given it to
We're
us.
praying for divine intervention.
What
Let's take this one.
intervention? Come on, please.
Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Adeze,
Good morning.
Omoife.
Yes, please.
Is this Felix?
Good morning, Barrister Daniel.
Good morning.
Felix from Lambata.
Awesome, Felix.
I greet our wonderful and highly esteemed callers and listeners.
Exactly.
It's a good topic again. As usual, we'll talk about Nigeria. We can't stop talking about Nigeria. It's our country, the only country we can boast of as our own.
Right.
Somebody like me, I don't have dual citizenship. This is the only country I can call my own.
Right.
And it's very, very unfortunate what really is happening in terms of borrowing and servicing debt. We are not even paying the loans. We are servicing debt. If they tell you the humongous amount they use in servicing debt alone, you wonder how much will be the payment of the principal. But common sense and the natural reason make us to understand that if you are a borrower, you are not borrowing for investment, you are borrowing to do party, you are borrowing to travel around, you are borrowing to take care of sick people, sickness elsewhere, you are not a serious borrower. If you are for investment, how do you recoup? How do you get back the money and pay back? and almost what is happening is global. No, most countries borrow quite all right, but when you look at the way our leaders live and lavish this money, and like what the last caller said, the money end up in some private pocket. Look, let me tell you, we are talking about Dangote being the richest man in Africa. That is on record.
Right.
That is when we are talking about business and all that. But I tell you, Dangote is not anywhere close to most of our politicians in terms of money. They have gathered so much. They can lavish the way we live. It's not unfortunate. It's painful when a country like ours, we see our president and governors and all that live and move around the way they move around in this kind of. Look at the exotic cars. Look at the high-rise buildings that are owned by individuals. Nigerians it's unfortunate. I don't want to use some unpalatable words here. It's just it's paining me, Daniel. It's paining me honestly. And this is my country. I have no other country I can call my own.
I get that.
We cannot hide it. We cannot shy away from the truth. Our leaders are wicked. Just wicked. Thank you very much, and God bless you guys.
Thank you, Felix, for
says
your
our leaders are
contribution.
wicked, just wicked, he says.
Right. There's also a question, dear listener, that we're also asking. You might as well suggest, all right? A more realistic debt management framework to ensure that the government's response to the debt crisis is effective. Could you please suggest?
Yeah.
Please. All
More
right.
realistic, yeah.
It's very, very important. Okay. The numbers to call are still 0907-353-0044 or
0908-766-8888, and the WhatsApp portal number is 0909-705-4450. Get across social media platforms as we are hosting an internationally organized, nationally rewarding, and globally accepted television station that would be at Eagles FM Abuja on YouTube. Do well to subscribe at Eagles FM Abuja, and on Facebook. Do the same at Eagles FM Abuja. Spread the Eagles wings across every other social media platforms at Eagles FM Abuja. Taking this message.
All right, Joseph from Jai says, good morning, Eagles
Good morning
FM.
to you, Joseph.
It is not bad to borrow money. The question is, what do you borrow for? Do we borrow to eat, or do we borrow to loot and build luxury apartments and cars for Senate and the judges? Let me use myself as an example. I borrowed 52 million naira from one bank and opened a layer farm. I paid the money that I borrowed in 3 years, even before the time, with all the interest. And before I proceed, it then, okay, you've seen the complete vision of what you use the money for. Okay, you don't borrow to pay salaries. You don't borrow to eat. Before you borrow, get complete vision of what you want to use the money for and make the money borrowed to be actually used for investment. Borrowing money is not bad. I think it is incompetency. This country is going to animal farm.
No, it's okay to say.
Are we there yet?
If you feel
Have we gotten to that point?
If you feel we've not gotten to animal farm yet, just take what the excerpt from the animal farm that is popular now. All fingers are one. All animals are equal, but there are some animals that are more equal than the others, and that's what's playing out. If not. No, I don't want to go into some of these other things, so it doesn't seem as though we are deviating. But yes, we have gotten to Animal Farm, and it seems as though we are writing a new Animal Farm Part 2, honestly. And it will not be shocking to note that one particular writer, maybe outside the shores of Nigeria, not even Nigeria, will take our situation and write Animal Farm Part 2. I don't know. But whatever it may be, though, Joseph, I understand. Joseph says, let's borrow with a purpose. Borrow with a vision. Borrow.
A realistic one.
Let it be defined. He said, I'd pay back in 3 years the 52 million I borrowed from the bank to start a layers farm. I even paid with the interest. It means that it is possible. So nobody should come around, whether government or non-governmental, they're telling us, it's not possible. We saw some hiccups on the way. No, it means you didn't borrow with a purpose. It means you didn't put all the infrastructure in place to ensuring that any form of corruption, stealing, hitch-in, galloping loopholes were indeed tackled. So it means that the plan in itself was problematic from the foundation, and nobody was looking at it.
Realistically, I think that there are bound to be, emergencies here and there from,
Agreed.
whatever sector. But how strong are the shock absorbers that we have as a nation to cushion whatever, impact that emergency would actually have on whatever vision that we have, right, at the end of the day? And like I said before, and just like we've been made to understand by economists, that borrowing is not a bad idea. But make sure that the monies borrowed are well utilized, properly utilized, in such a way that even when you are paying back with interest, for example, you can do that, boldly, knowing that you have infrastructure, on ground already that would actually bring about, more revenue internally. Do you understand that?
I get that.
I mean, we can't have a situation whereby some roads are bad. Let's use this Kogi State
For example,
road,
okay,
for example,
yeah,
the road
yeah, the
linking,
roads,
this part of the country to,
other parts.
down south.
Yeah.
That road is in a very deplorable condition.
It's in shambles.
There are different sections of the road that, honestly, but I understand work is ongoing.
Okay. Well, let's see how far, how many years that will take. Maybe 15 years. You never know. This is not me being a very this is not me being a pessimist. I'm not being pessimistic, but yeah, this is what we see every time. Oh, work is ongoing and it's taken 2 years. Work is ongoing, it's taken 3 years. Work is ongoing, it becomes a political mandate, for electioneering and all of that. Oh, we will work on the Kogi Road.
We're not going
and
to
all
make a
of that.
storm in a teacup over
Well,
this.
I'm just saying.
Let's quickly, maybe
Right.
suggest some sort of comprehensive, plan or ideas in which, if possible, could be adopted to address the debt crisis right here in Nigeria. Like we've said before, there is need for a debt management framework to ensure that the government's response to debt crisis is effective.
Right.
Is it the DMO's responsibility now? Is it the Ministry of Finance? Is it the CBN's responsibility? We don't know, but whoever will be saddled with that responsibility should come up with a very realistic, debt management framework or approach to ensure that government's response to debt crisis is effective.
Well, beyond that, though, there is a need for us to enact fiscal responsibility laws that will ensure that the government manages public finances effectively. There is also the need to implement economic reforms. Economic reforms that will promote the growth of the country, promote development, and reduce poverty, because that's what we've been always been about. Every time that we talk about these things, it's all about reducing poverty and all of that. There is a need for citizen engagement. How much awareness do we have? How much engagement do you have as a citizen in decision-making process regarding public debt? This is a forum or fora for you to engage, and that's why we are here, right? So seize the opportunity and don't shy away, right? And of course, finally, establishing a system that allows for monitoring and evaluating. We can't say that again enough for the effectiveness of the government's response to the debt, crisis. And these are just ways, one of the few ways that we should adopt in ensuring that we handle some of these cases rightly and correctly.
Absolutely. Well, it's an abridged show today, so would like to let you know that you can have a playback on Facebook and YouTube.
That's right.
Have a playback and maybe share your thoughts with us. If you have one or two things to say about this discussion, we'll be very glad to acknowledge your thoughts. My name is Omoefe Peace Osemere.
And my name is Udwak Daniel. We'll be right back in a short bit.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Hello, Nigeria. Hello, Africa. Do you want to work in the healthcare sector? Do you want to be a trained, certified nursing assistant, medical assistant, or caregiver? If yes, then register to enroll for Push Africa's one-year diploma in certified nursing assistant training happening at the African University College of Science and Technology, Abuja. Targeted trainees are unemployed graduates, O-level or ordinary diploma graduates, or anyone interested interested in working as a support worker in the healthcare sector. For details, log on to www.pushafrica.org or WhatsApp 080-339-42015, 080-550-45801. For registration, pick up application form at our partner radio stations or visit the reception at the African University of Science and Technology, Abuja.
Hello, my dear people of Nigeria. Hello, my dear people of Africa. You want to work inside health sector? Abi you want follow collect training? Make you follow become certified nursing assistant, medical assistant, or caregiver? If your answer na yes, then make you care register for Push Africa 1-year diploma for certificate nursing assistant training, where they happen for African University College of Science and Technology, where they for Abuja. Yes, now then wash hand well design this training for people who no get work, alias unemployed graduate, O-level, ordinary diploma graduate, or anybody where a mind touch ground to work as support worker inside the healthcare sector. No waste time. For more tori, make you log on to www.pushafrica.org or make you WhatsApp 080-339-42015 or 080-550-45801. For registration, make you go collect your application form for our partner radio station or make you visit the reception for African University of Science and Technology, Abuja.
Hello everyone, I bring you greetings from Push Africa. My name is Doris Dame, aka the Dame of the FCT. I am the founder and chief executive officer of the non-governmental organization called Push Africa. Our organization has in the last 10 years been at the forefront, fostering human capital development and advocating for programs and initiatives aimed at reducing poverty and unemployment in Nigeria. As a proper non-governmental